Okay, here we are yet
Button.
again for number third episode. No babbling.
The gang's back.
That's right.
So, do you want to introduce what we're doing this
Sure.
this podcast?
Okay. So for this episode, we're gonna do a study using a limited palette. The palette we're gonna use is a replica of the Zorn palette. Anders Zorn is a famous Swedish painter from the early 20th century, I think. Yeah, it's early 20th century. And he's famous for using a very, again, limited palette. And especially the reds and the reds and the warm colors are what pops out most. He doesn't use greens, so it's very interesting to play around. To have to play around that.
It's a limitation.
Yeah, it's very very cool. So so that's about it. Let's see what you guys have prepared. Tiia, you got this. You're doing a wow. You're actually making a study of a pretty complex picture.
Yeah, I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible because it's just basically the different surfaces and a bunch of people in the center. It's me getting used to the colors.
Okay. And Huskey, let's see what you have. Okay,
I
wow.
might have picked a very complicated subject, but
Okay.
I'm gonna go for it.
Sure, yeah. It's interesting, yeah. It's interesting because, yeah, especially when you lay the first, basic colors, you have to pick just one thing, right? Just one color, the closest possible, and it's always sort of off. So it's gonna take a lot of blending, a lot of, yeah. It's cool. At least your background is already pretty close to it.
Yeah,
It's nice.
it needs some hue variations, but
Yeah.
we're trying to get there.
And so, what's your what brushes are you gonna use?
Pretty much only using a hard round brush at the moment.
Okay.
This kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can control the opacity, and I might have to go in with some sharper edges
Okay.
to refine some of the edge work in the piece. But I'm just trying to get the composition and everything
Okay.
to start with, and then I'll start worrying about that kind of stuff later.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting to especially like you took the same dimensions, right? Your picture has the same dimension as the reference picture.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. So you can play with the negative space to locate exactly, the boundaries of the face and everything, where the shoulders start, how much space the figure takes. That's a plus.
Yeah, it's fun doing something entirely different. I mean, the subject matter is also different than what I'm used to because I'm really a crazy person about faces. And now it's like, okay, let's just have like a scenery with a bunch of people in there, but they're not the focus. So it's cool to be able to kind of play with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Plus, like this picture, I assume is taken just by somebody, right? It's not like a particularly artistic picture. It's just a.
This is actually one of the Noah Bradley reference photos from, I think, Bucharest or London.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could say that he's somewhat artistic.
Well, it's taken by somebody artistic for sure.
Yeah.
But what I meant was like it's not a particularly aesthetic piece.
It's not meant as,
Right.
yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to sort of find, the sort of focal point, the sort of beauty in it, sort of unity in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's funny to see how I think like a color would look like next to other colors in like a big area. And then you add a little bit of another color. You're like, oh, of course, it's going to be dark. And then it doesn't turn out as dark as you thought it would.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting challenge.
For sure.
Yeah, you can take it. No.
What about you, Arthur?
Oh,
What have
sorry.
you chosen to do today?
Okay, so what I've chosen to do is this guy here has got a sort of funny face. Um, let's see. I guess the good thing is he's got this sort of like grayish blue background, which is going to be pretty close to one of the base colors, pretty much the same as what you have, Husky.
Yeah.
And from there, I guess I like this photo too because the lips are pretty red, so it's gonna be pretty easy to lay in with them.
You kind of planned ahead with the palette in mind.
Not really, just kind of try to see what works because, for example, this sort of blue, like he's got this sort of dark aquamarine jacket, which is just not part of the palette at all. So I'm gonna have to
improvise.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But that's kind of the fun part about it as well, like problem solving at the same time and not just replicating what you see.
Yeah.
So, for somebody that doesn't have any experience with trying this before,
Okay.
like myself, what kind of benefits does this give to like a painter or illustrator?
Sure. Well, it's gonna de-dramatize, like demystify the color process, because you'll realize a lot of coloring is sort of relative. It's not really absolute. Your piece is gonna look just. I mean, of course, it's a study, so the more time you spend on it, you can end up with very, high fidelity results. Just the more time you spend on it. So the only thing that's going to really be different is the colors. And you'll see that just as long as the colors, as long as the values are there, as long as the anatomy is correct, the lighting is consistent, your picture is going to look, just as beautiful, just as nice. Let me see. Now I'm going to.
So I'm assuming you aren't allowed to use the whites in between the colors.
Yeah, let's try it. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good point. Like
pure white is a no-no.
Yeah, it's a no-no. It's like, well, plus I doubt you have pure whites in your piece, right? Let me see.
It really.
No.
Yeah.
There's a little bit up here probably.
But yeah, maybe.
That's probably the only thing.
Well, the structure is already pretty nice. I just left, I don't know, like 2 minutes ago, I guess. I mean, I just went on my piece 2 minutes ago, and now I'm back, and it's already, like, the face is already sort of recognizable as a face. It's pretty fast.
Thank you. I guess.
Just take the compliment, man. Just take it.
Yeah. I'm not sure how to reply, but yeah,
No.
I think thank you is the right way to go.
Yeah.
It's just because it's surprising to see, at the beginning you were like just, like the brush strokes were huge, and just like, of course, obviously just laying in huge strokes, and I just come back and it's already like a headband. There's like the shadow line in the middle. You're already sort of deciding. I see the hue of the shadow. It's pretty cool. What you can
I'm trying
do,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Like if you wanna because now I see the shadow you're using is pretty saturated in blue. So what you can do is use a bit of that middle purple or light purple to
Right here.
Yeah, and maybe sort of dilute a little bit, especially on the cheekbone. Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. That works. Yeah.
Because the good thing is you can. The only thing you can do really is to blend the colors together until you find some sort of middle.
I need to find some way to do the light part of the face too, because it's not that yellow.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's some red in there, which I think you can. Like if you go with one of the lighter purples, also, like this one.
I think this might be good.
Yeah.
No, that's too
That's
dark.
actually That's actually not bad. It's not as
Think
dark
so?
as you, yeah. I don't think it's as dark as you think it is. It's you have to you of course mix it in not too much, but it's a good base actually. Because her face is not as yellow as like the reference is not as yellow as the base color you have.
Yeah.
So at some point, you're gonna have to sort of modify the whole hue. Yeah, I see, Tiia. You're gonna have a ton of work.
Yeah, it's just like it's all the little things that like apply to the whole. I mean, now it's like base colors, and then it's like zooming out and being like, well, everything's kind of too saturated, but this is how it is.
Yeah.
Um,
What you can do is you see this like you see this sort of gray one, like the gray color, like third from the left.
mm-hmm.
And if you pick like either the darkest or the second darkest,
Yeah.
and with like a huge blurry brush, like a huge airbrush type thing, just make it big and like try to make a quick pass, of everything. Yeah, even bigger, just like huge. Yeah. So you barely have to.
Whoa. Okay, my Photoshop didn't care for that.
Okay.
I think I just need to lower the opacity way down because my yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I could just.
Because the values in your pictures are
like
lower and they're also a little grayer, so this could sort of solve both.
Okay. Yeah. That's really getting there. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and you see, like in the end, you have this. I mean, at some point, because the only like the big contrasting, the bluest thing in the picture is these light bulbs, right? This sort of halo around the light bulbs. So you can use the lightest blue to sort of like lay in these light bulbs.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of the highlight. They're the
biggest
contrast going on here.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try to. Let me just. Okay. I blab a lot, but I haven't done much yet. I rarely paint guys, like I usually paint, female characters. They're usually more graceful, like, nicer to look at. And a bit more popular on ArtStation.
Makes sense. I mean, each of their own reasons. It's nice to look at. Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, this is kind of because this guy has got a weird, like he's good looking. I mean, he's well dressed and everything, but he's got a very sort of.
It's that face that he's making, that kind of I'm about to sneeze face. It feels like.
Yeah. Like you just intruded on his favorite golf course or something.
He's just having a really good time, okay?
Yeah, he's about to call the hounds on you. Okay, so.
I recently found a series of photos about crying men that I thought that was kind of interesting because it's like a really social kind of taboo in some places that men don't cry, and then this photographer just made a whole series of different men crying. Okay. It was kind of interesting to look at. It's just like, okay, these people are not making pretty faces, but
there's something beautiful about it at the same time.
Yeah, I think so. That's something you see often. It's like somebody photographed made a photo of a really rare bird. It's like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, men crying. I mean, I guess it's it used to be pretty taboo, like especially working class. There was this. Do you guys know this sculptor? No, he's a potter actually. Grayson Perry. He's a cross-dressing potter from the UK.
Oh no, I haven't heard of him.
It's really interesting. I mean, he's one of the most interesting. He's so unique. He's just a very weird guy. And he went around Britain trying to sort of map out, masculinity, like how it works out, how people manifest it,
Yeah.
And it was super interesting because he went through like different classes, different, different social strata, right? And and that's where I heard that, and I guess it makes sense that it's a very working class sort of men's men thing to not cry and sort of be impervious to sentiments,
emotions.
Yeah. So I guess it lingers on. I mean, I feel like,
and in some places, cultures definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I try to limit the fucking sobbing in front of my girlfriend because that's not even regardless of how manliness evolves, it's still not a sign of a reliable partner when you just bawl for anything, like sincerely bawling.
Yeah, I mean, not for everything and anything, but at least that you feel comfortable enough to cry when you feel like it,
Sure.
Do you guys think that's still somewhat of a taboo thing in society?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
In Finland, at least.
Is it like? Do you think of it as crying, or do you think of it as men showing emotion?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Because I think everyone cries.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of both because it's like okay, men are the emotions that's okay for men to show is anger.
Yes.
Is it?
It seems like more okay for a man to freak out, really yell at somebody and be like, "What the fuck is this?" and
Yeah.
And women are not allowed to do that.
Well, their voice is just so annoying.
Cry.
Oh no, you didn't.
Did you hear me, Tiia?
Sorry, no, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't hear that? Okay, because their voice is just so much more annoying. So that's
I just ignore that. I don't know. It's just like I think it's really weird the kind of gendered expectations. Sure. Whereas I will get angry and I will scream if I need to, but like I'm the really quiet anger type that if I shut up and I look angry, people know that something's seriously wrong.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with men is that there's also the notion of physicality, like potentially, like between guys. Like if we get mad at each other, there's the
the show off of like who's the biggest.
No, but I mean, there's the possible like consequence of actually like beating each other up.
Oh, if you push comes to shove, then men are more likely to show in that way. Yeah.
I mean, at least men to men. Of course, men to women, it's it's not happening. It's not supposed to happen. Like we pretty much codified that. Like even at the time of traditional masculinity, it was still pretty much codified. Like it's not gentlemanly or even manly to strike a woman. So and I mean,
I don't think it's very gentlemanly to beat up anybody, but that's my reason.
But I think
that I can agree with.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering why, why it's still why somehow maybe because I'm just thinking maybe the fact that anger is less tolerated among women is because I'm just sort of thinking it might be because that absence of expected physicality, you're not supposed to. If you are to lose your shit at somebody else, you should expect some sort of physicality in return. But if you can't, then
exactly. It's just kind of an empty threat,
I don't know. Anyway, just
it's an interesting thing to think about. Again, I mean, there's the anger that women are quotation marks expected to show to men, which is like, you know, nagging, that kind of stuff, which is just like laughed at, like, oh yeah, you're nagging. It's like, oh boy, boy.
Yeah.
Oh no, you didn't.
But such is life.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Can I like start on these people already?
So what kind of struggles are you guys facing at the moment in your paintings? Are you having any trouble, or is it going easier than expected?
Oh, going on here? I can't swear. Sorry.
Here comes the good question.
Yeah. Your laugh just came as you were doing this one figure that sort of symbolizes Yeah. For me, it's giant nostrils. Where to be?
Nostrils are hard, okay?
Yeah.
Looks terrible, but I'm like, I'm not gonna zoom in and start making these details, because if I do, I will
way.
forever
Yeah.
work on this. So I'm like, okay, just ignore it. Just it's a thing. Move on.
Yeah. You can try to work like even as a bigger blob, like instead of like this, you know, drawing one figure after the other, like zoom out and sort of do the whole thing. Yeah. And then sort of you know, chisel in some legs and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. That's a bag. That's a bag. Oh god. Okay.
But yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy, am I glad that a lot of people dressed up in black.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just thinking about nothing. I was just thinking again, like about the masculinity shit, like about the contradiction of not being supposed in public to, you know, be physical with women, right? But how you know, at the same time, physical abuse, you know, in a marriage or you know, it's how
it's
like in closed doors, it's fucking it's nuts. I mean, you see that's the extent of how sort of sheltered I was, is because like personally I come from like a middle class family. Like my dad is not, you know, particularly violent or even you know, trying super hard to adhere to, you know, old school, you know, hardcore masculinity traits. And so I pretty much thought like that conjugal violence was this sort of like myth, like almost, you know, like a sort of antiquated image that nobody really does anymore.
Yeah, kind of like a myth and story to scare the children or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Like some shit people used to do, you know, or that's really stupid people do, but you know, we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody.
Like they used to have capital punishment and they don't anymore, but yeah.
Yeah. And you can't like fathom anybody you know actually doing that. But yeah, reality is.
Yeah, until it like happens to you, then at that point you're like, it is a thing that exists.
Yeah, I bet. There's nothing weirder than trying to put some lips on somebody with red lips, and it just looks like. I mean, now this guy looks horrible.
I think it's interesting. It's just like the colors are really difficult.
Yeah.
You gotta replace so many things in your head.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to put everything down and then
worry about the rest later.
Just worry about. I'm trying to sort out the values first of all.
Yeah.
Because those are the main issue, right? Because if you use a dark too much, everything else is gonna not work with it, you know. So I'm trying to balance everything.
Yeah. The good thing when you work with a reference is that no matter how much it sucks at first, eventually you just, nail everything because it's just so, you have it right there. So it's just a matter of persistence.
And every time you bump into an obstacle or you have like, oh yeah, I'm not sure how this works, and you spend some time trying to figure it out, you kind of feel it slowly unlocking, and that's just really rewarding for me at least.
Definitely.
So there's something I was thinking of the last few days when we were talking about doing the podcast. And I know that the subject kind of only applies to me and Arthur a little bit, but did you ever find it difficult being an immigrant in a whole new country while being an artist? Did you face any, prejudice or people being like, oh no, or any of that kind of stuff?
As an artist?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Not really. Just not knowing, like they were like being sort of a sort of question mark, kind of like, oh, like I don't know what they do, like anytime you just show your stuff to people. Even, if you show your stuff, it's sort of crystal clear what you do. But if you just talk about it, it's, like my ex, for example. She used to come, like she came from the countryside, and in Thailand, so I went to visit her family with her cousin, and he was like, oh, so what do you do? And I do this, like, and he doesn't own a computer, like, so let alone,
it's hard to explain.
Yeah. So like my girlfriend at the time, like, sort of, just sort of explained the broad strokes and stuff, but she like. The interesting part is that she was the only the only one in our family who had this sort of like college education. Like, we actually met in China. We were both studying Mandarin, and then I came with her just to visit her family. And you can see she was really like the sort of pivotal, like the sort of ambassador. And on top of that, her boyfriend is like this foreigner with a weird hobby / wannabe job, like nobody.
Yeah, all these computer stuff that is not real work and whatnot.
To
farmers, it seems like we're just playing at stuff.
Yeah. I don't blame them.
If that's all you know, it's pretty hard to put yourself in the mindset of, oh yeah, people. First of all, people can do this for a living.
Yeah.
And secondly, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but like, there's an industry behind making entertainment, games, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
That's still somewhat of a struggle today, just in society. So imagine some farmer guy being like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. What is this computer? While we grew up with that stuff. It's quite something.
They were having a hard time wrapping their heads around, like they were asking me, how do you sell it? Like, how do you sell something that's on the internet? It's not
digital.
a thing. Yeah. Even my parents were still pretty recently but if you put it on the internet, anybody can grab it, right? Anybody can sell it. It's like, I guess, that's I guess.
If that's how you put it, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, the thing my dad was telling me that about is like, like this sort of half-assed, studies with a pear in a plate, It's like, but if you put it on the internet, anybody can grab it and sell it. Yeah, sure. If they want to sell like a fucking dried pear on a IKEA plate, they can go ahead. Yeah,
Or
they can make a fortune.
picked up banana.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I took about a 5-7 minute interlude on my piece just to get it somewhere. But now I'm back to focusing on you guys.
You're spectating?
I am.
Spectator mode engaged.
Yes. It's interesting, Huskey. I see you kind of the eyes have a lot of white. It seems. I mean, from my point of view, because I guess it's because the iris is still not really laid in, right? It's still very
Yeah.
So
I'm just putting down some markers so that I can establish the anatomy while doing all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to anyway.
You have a lot to deal with that scar too.
That's true. I haven't even gotten to that part.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. I just thought the piece was interesting.
Yeah.
There was a lot of there's a lot of emotion in it. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's something I want to get more in tune with.
There's definitely a story behind it too.
Yeah.
Because she's got this nobility, with the crown and the sort of color, like this sort of.
Yeah. Her armor plating as well.
Yeah.
Something that shows to that this girl has seen some shit.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which it's sort of I guess a warrior princess to be kind of corny about it. But
something like that, yeah.
That's a nasty scar too.
Yeah, it looks pretty gruesome, eh?
Yeah.
It looks like that must have hurt a little bit.
Yeah, and it never healed right, and then kind of leaves this like massive thing there.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell once it's like not red anymore, it's gonna be this sort of waxy, shiny, kind of creviced.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, wow.
Looks like a really deep cut for sure. I mean, it already damaged some of the tissue around her lips.
Mm.
It doesn't look like that's going to grow back anytime soon.
And the trick here is that until you put that scar down, you'll have a hard time sort of gauging how correct everything else is, because it's part of the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me see, Tiia, where you're at.
Hiding in a corner, trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, there's like reflections and things that I'm just noticing. Instead of being like, hey, it's a cool tunnel. Now it's like, oh, reflections. Reflections everywhere.
You see, if I were you, I would on a new layer, or however you want to, just to sort of test this change, is to pick like this the dark color of the crowd, and with some sort of kind of a sharp, not too blurry brush, up to you, but just sort of make around the horizon like through the crowd, like add some more darkness, because now the silhouettes are very like clear cut, and whereas they blend more in the reference. So I would be a bit more messy if I were, because if you look at the crowd, you can barely, except for the legs, their shapes are super vague. It's not like a head and
in that way. Yeah. Let's see, maybe I can add it to a relevant layer, just like make a bit more.
So yeah, you can be like a bit more messy with the whole thing until it sort of feels right in terms of space, volume, occupied.
Yeah.
And then you can just sort of cut in some more realistic shapes. It is a tough picture though.
It is. And I was like, okay, I mean, I don't usually make these kind of things, so might as well just go all out a little bit.
Yeah. It's the challenge with pictures that are like more informative. Like this is from a reference pack, right? So it's meant to be, I guess, informative in terms of architecture and textures and scale.
Yeah.
But there's no like aesthetic point to it really in itself, like as a whole.
Yeah, it's an everyday moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to grasp. It's hard to see yourself reaching a point of accomplishment in this in the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you cannot feel it gel into a sort of beautiful thing. It's just more or less realistic, but it just doesn't feel it. It's harder to find this sort of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I could do this forever, basically, and then.
Yeah, there's like a ton of bricks to do.
Eternal subway tiles. Which is fine because, like, I don't know, it's not everything needs to feel like finishable, and it's just like also being able to let go. Like, hey, this is as good as it's going to get for now. I can move on to something else, or I can come back to it, or.
Yeah. Because of course, I mean, that's the whole point of these reference pictures, is so you don't, you can just overlay some, the textures you find in them just to save you time. But here you're using it as actually a reference picture to paint from instead of use as a texture. So it's going to be, like a challenge too is going to be to find some sort of brush economy, some sort of way of, summing up and simplifying form, like you said.
Just being like, okay, did I capture this to my liking? Yes, no, why not? Kind of learning to ask myself the tough questions while I'm doing this.
Ooh, I see you flip the canvas, Huskey. That's a judicious move. You flip the canvas.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta flip that canvas.
Gotta flip the canvas. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Face death in the eyes.
I can flip it upside down. That's the only thing I can do with this particular reference.
I don't know how much I'm gonna do with this band thing, but I'm just gonna leave it pretty blank for now, I think. It's all about sort of getting a reference point for where everything is and what everything does.
Yeah. It's interesting, Tiia. You're flipping it vertically. I've never done that.
Because the only thing that Quick Poses allows me to do is to do vertically. So I'm just gonna do it this way, and then I noticed like a big problem with how the walls are receding.
Oh yeah. Okay. Interesting.
That I hadn't seen at all.
Me neither. When Oh wait, it's because you flipped it.
Oh right.
Yeah,
so
it's actually
flip the other way around. Let's see. Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, huh? How many people? There we go. That's a lot better.
Okay. Nice.
But there's there's this book called Drawing on the Left Side of the Brain or Right Side of the Brain, where one of the exercises that you do is like drawing something that's upside down, just to avoid drawing things as symbols,
Yeah.
And it blows the mind.
Yeah, I bet. Instead of drawing things as symbols, you say.
Yeah, like an eye, the way we're taught to draw like a tree is like, kind of this long rectangle with like some bushy shapes on top. But if you flip something upside down, you don't see it as symbols anymore.
Right. Yeah, you see this abstract mass of colors you have to...
Yeah.
Cool. All right, back to my guy. Let's see what I can do.
Back to all the hard work.
His nostrils are humongous. I have to do something.
It's not very nice to say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, somebody's just got nostrils, man.
It takes one to know one. I got a big schnauzer myself, so I guess I'll...
No shame in big noses.
No.
I also have a big nose. Artists love my nose because it's so easy to draw. It's very blocky and very noticeable. It's a good reference point.
Yeah. The hard thing right now with my guy is that he's got these sort of slight pinkish, hues here and there. But if I pick the lighter red, it's just too bright right away. It just flares up. Like,
yeah.
It's very, very hard. But what I do is like I picked the color that's similar from somewhere that I was, where I already went through this struggle. So I just started to remix the whole thing. I guess that's the perks of digital art.
Yeah, you can just move things around and change stuff, and it's just
pick that.
It's convenient.
Are you guys like? Did you guys paint traditionally as well?
I've never tried traditional. No.
Yeah.
A little bit of watercolor, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like gouache painting I used to do.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
Used to do gouache painting. Okay.
It's like my go-to thing. Like when someone's having a birthday or Christmas, whatever, I'll just do like gouache paintings for people.
That's awesome,
so
man.
Cool. Do people appreciate this gouache paintings as well, or is it every time like, oh no, here it comes with this weird handmade gifts that nobody wants?
Gouache paintings, and robots and weird things. I don't know. Like I try to draw like some generic, colorful landscape or something. Just the typical stuff that the people who aren't crazy about the design stuff we do, like something they will enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always a fun challenge to do.
Well, you could always like do something that's popular at that moment, or if you know that a person likes a certain kind of set of plays, for example, like my sister-in-law likes a certain set of plays that have really these graphical funny figures and funny quotes on them, and I was considering like painting a birthday card in that same style, but I never had the nerve to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous about doing stuff for people. I'll do it, but it's because you're put on the spot, and if you miss, like I tried a portrait of a friend like years ago, and it was taking forever. I was like, like a live thing. I was like 21, so I was not like a really good artist, at all. I was just. And I tried, it was taking like a while, it was taking like the minutes were going along, like 10 minutes, 15, 20, half an hour. Then she checked and it was like, it was not good, like you could tell. And even her friends like, hey, the face okay, but the eyes don't look like hers at all. It's like, yeah, thanks, I've noticed that for about 40 minutes.
Oh no.
That's very rough.
Yeah. French people are not nice to each other.
I don't like drawing people that I know because
it's
as somebody that works visually, you tend to notice everything about them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no way it's gonna end well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every single time, literally from like there was a point where people would be like, "Hey, artist guy, can you make me a tattoo?
It's like,
Or
no, that's
yes.
I have this
Ooh.
amazing idea for a Twitch channel. Can you do an awesome banner for me? You know?"
Yeah.
And there was a point in time where I would be like, "Yeah, why not? Like that'd be fun."
Sure.
And literally now I'm just every single time I just say no, like on the spot, and everyone gets so like offended by it. Like, why do
Yeah.
you say no? And like, I know from experience that this is not a good idea and it's not gonna work out well.
yeah. Yeah, I had that a couple of times when somebody was asking me for a logo. I'm like, okay, let's try it, and then I work my ass off to come up with some stuff that I think are cool, and then they look at it and go like, nah, and I'm like, what?
You can't win with people. You just cannot win. It's
It seems a lot of the time too that, like, for a lot of people in general, that they'll get an idea, like for something like, oh, I'm gonna make an app or I'm gonna write a book, you know, something like that, and they have all this motivation for about a week. So they reach out to a bunch of people, like, I'm writing a book and I need you to do a cover, you know, and all these different things, right?
Mm.
And then a week later, you're working on the book cover,
yeah.
and their motivation runs out, and they're like, no,
Yeah.
screw this book, and you're stuck there working on some book cover that's never gonna be made into anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, my voice is completely ran out.
Are you getting sick?
I think I am.
Oh no.
Damn, man.
Well, I'm gonna have to step out because I've got a husband to go pick up, but I suppose you all are going to go ahead and continue. I'm pretty happy with where I got. I mean, I don't usually do landscape, so or crowds or that kind of stuff. So I'm like, why not? I mean, for someone who never does this, okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I see you. The perspective is pretty much. It's interesting because the crowd is the horizon is a bit more in the middle, I think. But other than that, it's it's pretty convincing. At least we recognize what it's supposed to be. It's like everything. The basic is there. The base is there.
Yeah, exactly. It's I'm gonna be doing more of this stuff to get better at it, so I won't have to be ashamed of my attempts at some point. But for now, I'm calling this the first time. Okay.
There's always when we do this stuff, there's always the token person who's like messing it up, right?
Oh no! Oh no!
Next time it's gonna be me. Some other time it's gonna be somebody else. You know, it's
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give this a big fat 7 out of 10. This is fine. This is doable.
Yeah.
But
I agree with the 7. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll give you some confidence.
Yours is looking great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that, but let's
Let's move on.
let's see where it goes. That's
Cool.
the
Well, good luck with the rest of the short cast or long cast if you're going ahead. And I'll talk to you all some other time.
have a wonderful time.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Laters.
Bye-bye.
Later.
All right.
This is really tough.
The struggle is real. Yeah, man. Let me see. I think the values in the left part of the face, especially the eye, the eye is too light still. You could use like a very like a blurry brush and just sort of especially in the corner. Like the corner is a bit.
This is the darkest I can go, though.
Of course, yeah.
I think before you do anything like that, I think you should take a look at the perspective again. Just the eye level compared to the mouth level, things like that.
That's something I'm trying to figure out while I'm doing it. It's very strange. My piece is very strange, for sure.
Also, it's let me see. The tricky part is that this is a good reference. It's made mostly of. I mean, it's made entirely of diagonals, like curved diagonals, which are like harder to anticipate and understand than verticals or horizontals. Anything diagonal is suddenly more like up in the air and intangible, sort of. It's harder to nail. It just takes some time. It's gonna look better once you tackle the under the chin thing, because now you still have like very bright stuff, and the jawline.
Yeah, the jawline is kind of diffuse so far.
Yeah.
I think it's throwing my whole thing off.
Right.
Just a second. Sorry about that. There was just a lot of background noise on my end, so just gonna take care of that real quick.
Is it a kid we could hear?
Yeah, there was my nephews are visiting, so
Nice.
unexpectedly, so kind of came into the podcast though there a little bit.
Yeah. Unexpected things. Today, my unexpected thing was to take my fiance to the foot doctor.
Mm-hmm.
She's got like this little swollen part on her joint that she got from climbing. I took her climbing once, and she will never do it again. Because yeah, she hurt herself on the first the first half hour.
Yeah.
So doesn't that suck? Like you try to come on, it's gonna be fun. You're gonna love it. You go to my favorite gym. It's like so. Not like the foot. I went to this French foot doctor. Like I was looking for somebody international so we could understand, the diagnosis and everything. Just be very clear. Not that Japanese doctors are unreliable. That's obviously not the case. And this lady was super nice. Like it was from at her clinic, her private sort of in her house basically. And she showed me how to massage her foot. So I can,
nice.
yeah. So now I'm gonna. That's gonna be my thing at night. Just sort of.
Yeah, you're gonna be busy.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, that sounds like some sort of a joke, like the beginning of a joke.
Yeah.
So we went to the French foot doctor in Japan.
How
Can't
Harry
wait
were-
for the punchline.
Yeah. Okay, the punchline is that because she, and that's true, because she was at home, right? This lady, they came in and suddenly, I sit, my fiance sits in the chair, like this big sort of, puddle, like this foot thing chair, and I sit behind her on this sort of waiting chair, and I smell a weird smell. I turn around and this ancient dog, just ripped a fart, just near me, just this. It's just snoozing near me, and it didn't like me. I could tell. It reeked so bad, but just in my area, it was super deadly. And meanwhile, my fiance was on the chair, just getting her foot checked. And she also had this parrot, this sort of gray. I don't know. It's this sort of gray parrots that can talk.
Mm.
And he was just chiming in every once in a while with some weird, not words, just weird sounds.
Was he spouting diagnosis and stuff?
Chocolate foot.
From the last guy that was in there, you have hemorrhoids. You have hemorrhoids. Just going crazy in the background. Oh, that's great.
Fucking yeah, doctor-patient confidentiality being ruined.
Yep. Just thrown out the window by a parrot.
She was a lovely lady.
That's good.
I like when doctors are kind, you know, when they're like, you can feel this sort of nurturing, you know, they just want you to at least, you know, start by feeling good, you know.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be like a hilarious comedy sketch. You know, like you're taking your kid or someone to the doctor.
Mm.
You just sit in the waiting room. You see people go in, and you just hear screaming from inside the room. There's like these weird diagnoses just being scramped out in this like loud, peepy voice, and they come out and they're laughing, right? Because they know it's a bird, and you're just sitting there going like, "What the hell is going on in that room?" Like person after person, just weird diagnosis comes out laughing their balls off. And then you go in just like this parrot.
And like when we came, she thought I had the problem because I was wearing these like very thick and loose skateboarding shoes, and by the end of the
You're such a gangster.
we just
Like, yeah, I've got these bad boy Nikes, man. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted
I'll
you.
I'll let you there. Osiris D3 2001s. It was my like fantasy shoes when I was like a rebel teenage skater, and I couldn't afford them. Of course, it was like 150 euros. And now that I'm a useless non-skating old man, of course I bought them. So anyway, I'm walking around in them, feeling cool and fresh. And we go to the doctor, and by the end, like she tells us, yeah, by the way, like she tells my fiance, like you gotta find shoes that are like that squeeze around like the neck of your foot, and just leave your toes free. You know, like the opposite is what fucks people's feet up. You know, squeeze like frozen toes, and loose. The rest is loose. You know, like you know. Like,
You mean around the ankle?
no, between the toe joints and the ankle. You know, the neck of the foot. I guess the nape of the foot is it called? I don't know. I don't. You know what I mean? Like the flat, just anything between the ankle and your toes. Like the body of your foot, right? It's yeah. So for
The
like
foot of your foot?
the foot of your exactly. You got it. And so yeah, because my shoes are the opposite of that, she thought at the end, oh yeah, I thought it was you because those shoes. And she just pointed at them. They do look like clown shoes. They're just red and massive. What can I say? I'm just a fashionista.
Yeah, man. You're a wannabe skater.
I am, yeah. I want to. Retroactively want to be a skater. I did skateboard, but mostly rollerblade. But yeah, I skated for like 3-4 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time, actually.
Did you do any pool sketching or skating
Oh,
habits?
yeah. Yeah, there was a pool near my place, but I mostly like rollerblade in the pool, but otherwise just like street skating, like finding a bench or some sort of curb and do little grinds and slides and kick flips and ollies, just messing around.
Yeah, because I always wanted to get into skating pool, but I never knew anyone that knew how to do it.
Yeah.
It felt like that was something like, if I go into that solo, I'm gonna seriously kill myself.
Yeah. Could you, like in a skate park, like could you go down a quarter? Like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So At least you get that. It's not that. The rest is pretty. Then it just depends how the pool is shaped, right? If you have like a sort of cooler, nicer sort of ramp, you can sort of exit that way, or depends how steep it is and how many people there are in there, because that's a problem too.
There's this guy in our town who's just an amazing BMX rider, and I remember we were in like the indoor skate park. We have a fairly big one. It was a couple of years back, and so everyone was like the people in my town, like we're really like bad at skating and BMX and like all that stuff. Like there's like no good people, like properly good people in it. Except for this guy who's just like so crazy, right? So we were like, everyone was doing their little thing, and he comes in and he's just going crazy. Like he's like jumping between the pools. Like he could go into the pool, jump out of the pool, over like this high railing into like a separate thing. Like you wouldn't even connect the two dots, right? Like they're supposed to be separate. Like up the walls and like, holy shit! It's like art in motion, man.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You wonder like what's like, because that was the same like when I was a kid. I was like, I would go to the pool and see these nutty, these like just genius people doing this thing, and you're like, what's your life like? Like how did you get to that point? Like how did you get not scared first of all, and how do you find the time? Because you feel like you're already doing your bit, you know, like in terms of practicing, but then you go to your favorite practice spot and there's this dude already there, and swinging around, and I never got good enough to really like, you know, to take it past high school, you know.
Yeah.
Just like,
when I was longboarding, I had like I was in one competition. Those would say like it was a proper one. I think it was like 200 people there, so it was a fairly big one.
Yeah.
And like that was, I have never felt such adrenaline in my entire life that I felt in that moment. It was the craziest thing. Just like the roar of the crowd, and like you're competing in this fairly tight street with 3 other people and trying to get first, and it's like, it's like, you know, like Formula One cars, and you're trying to take the curves in a way that you'll get in front of the other guy, and so much fun, man. And I remember like I got to the finals, and in my like tier or division or whatever, and I was so jacked up on adrenaline that I went way in front of like everybody else, but I had so much speed that I couldn't take the last turn, so I just ended up going straight into the asphalt on the side of the road, and I like rolled like maybe 5 or 7 meters or something, just scraping up everything. But because I was so jacked up on adrenaline, I immediately like jumped up without checking myself or anything, just back on the board, just like running to get back to speed, because like just so much adrenaline. It's crazy.
What, did you hurt yourself? Like in the end, were you hurt? Like.
Yeah, I think all of the clothes that I was wearing were like completely gone. There's a photo of it somewhere where I'm like in the middle of this turn and I just completely wipe out.
Damn.
I think it's on Facebook somewhere. Yeah.
I did a little bit of longboarding, but just to try with like a friend who liked it. It's so cool, but I'm too scared of like speed, you know.
Yeah.
It's too. You gotta be a different. It's a different animal.
Yeah, you have to be really like comfortable with high speed situations.
How did you work it out, by the way? This sort of, you know, this sort of comfort.
Well, I think I skated for like a total of, like I skated a lot for like 5 years, I think.
Okay.
So it was, like it was time involved, and I think I started when I was like maybe like 12 or something. So it was kind of like I grew up with it. And before that, I was doing a lot of parkour, like
Okay.
jumping between rooftops and doing weird stuff. So I was already used to that type of like
Mm.
high risk, high reward type of sport. Um, so that then it was more like it was just a matter of like you know, getting a muscle memory for balance and how
Mm.
to operate on the board and things like that.
Mm. Because like the guys who go, 70 kilometers per hour more, like 80,
Yeah,
that's crazy to me. Like that's nuts. Because especially the sliding,
yeah.
the sliding, that's just, how do you work up just the nerve to do it?
For me, like what I did, like I remember we were like trying to do it
Mm.
for like a really long time. We couldn't really manage to do it, and then it was we were out when it had like rained, and then we kind of figured it out because we were like accidentally losing grip.
Okay.
And I remember I like fell 2 times, like trying to practice that, like on my right wrist,
Mm.
and you just kept skating, like didn't think much of it. And then when I got home and I tried to open the door, I couldn't move my hand because I'd fallen on it like 2 times, really messed it up, and so I had to go to the emergency. And because I thought I'd broken it, but apparently I had like a lot of like blood vessels and like burst. So my hand was just like it was like so filled with blood that I couldn't move it because of all the blood in it.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, pretty much we just did it until we stopped falling. I think. Uh,
I guess there's no way around it, huh?
no, and like, yeah, slowly but surely you get your muscle memory develops, and you can do it without falling and hurting yourself, and then you can just increase the speed. The funny thing about sliding is a lot of people when they start out they go slow because they're scared, right?
Mm.
Uh, the problem is that when you go slow, it's actually harder to lose traction, so
Right.
the risk of falling increases. So the faster you go, the easier it actually gets.
Wow.
So yeah, I think at like the high point, like I was probably doing like like 60, 70, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty fast.
Yeah. Especially when you're, yeah. Like like were you wearing protection?
I was wearing a helmet, and you have these sliding gloves.
Right.
It's like thick gloves with a like plastic hockey puck almost
Mm.
on the underside, which makes it so that you can put your hands down on the ground and displace your weight even further off the board, which makes it easier to
Right.
slide and control things.
Huskey, your stuff is looking more and more tight. Um, One thing is the skin. It's still very yellow orange compared to the
Yeah, I
other
know.
ones.
I'm trying to figure out a way to brighten it up without losing a lot of the color in it, you know?
Brighten it up. Mm.
Well, yeah, like this doesn't feel too saturated, you know? Just hovering the color wheel, it all seems like on the border of being gray almost.
Right.
So I'm
Oh,
trying to
wait.
figure out how to use these
Okay.
to sort of establish that. But I think like as soon as I get some more pink in there,
Mm.
it's my process anyway. I'm trying to find some. So I was looking for something a little bit darker, honestly. But adding some of the pink. Oop. Very softly. Just gonna get rid of that yellow.
You know what, dude? I think you could try because sorry, before you do that, like backtrack a little bit, because before you do that, I think you should try because you see the highlights on the character, the reference are actually pretty bluish, pretty grayish. Like they're pretty cold, right? It's not a warm At least that's how it translates on on my viewing.
Here?
Yeah. You see,
Or
right?
this?
Right. These are like purplish, bluish. It's closer to the colder side, right? It's not really orangish.
Yeah,
It's on the colder side of the red. So
for sure.
and if you
Use
check,
this instead.
yeah, but I think you could even try, on a separate layer, maybe like if you take one of the medium purples or medium to light purples and try like a quick pass on your piece with a big broad, yeah, and see how it affects it. This is too light, I think. Maybe the medium purple is better. And yeah, and if you erase yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was thinking just adding some red and then using this blended color.
But you see, it's much more orange compared to your. So if you want to blend in, I think you should blend in like a more purple one to get closer to that purple. Maybe be more local, like you are doing now instead of the big wash I was suggesting. But yeah, that's much. You see, wow, it's already suddenly much closer. Yeah, now you get the nice sort of base color on the cheek to sort of use everywhere.
Yeah, thanks.
You got it, baby.
Got it, baby.
RDB is always here for you with his little tricks.
Little snippets. We have a little Smurf visiting us. It seems.
Oh shit. Sorry.
I think the parrot from the food doctor followed me somehow.
Yes. The French food parrot. Foot. I can't speak today.
There's so much pressure going on, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, I might even be able to publish that picture later. It's much better than last time.
Pardon?
Like this time, my study is much nicer. I mean, it feels nicer than last time.
Yours?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, yours is looking really good.
Yeah.
I'm liking it.
Thanks, bro. I haven't done this in a long time. what I like with studies is that you can leave brush strokes much more evident because at least I feel like that because I don't feel like I have to justify everything. Because if I just come up with it myself, like I feel I need to sort of make everything nice and tidy. Otherwise, it's not gonna look real, you know. But that's a personal sort of fault. With studies, I feel much like looser, and I can just sort of like leave these sort of rougher things here and there because it was done from a study, from a reference. It kind of looks logical already. Like it doesn't look too weird.
Smurf is really going at it today, hey?
Oh, really? Fuck. Sorry, I'm gonna mute myself. if
No,
that's
no, no.
not-
It's not that bad. It's just if nobody speaks, it's sort of like the Smurf just takes free reign. It just
Using the
Yeah.
situation. It's really weird though, because I'm working in Photoshop, so I don't know why it's doing it.
Yeah. By the way, Huskey, I really like your lips. Like the lips on your model is really neat. It looks nice and it's like slightly exaggerated. It's like not too much, of course. It's just nicely emphasized. Is what I mean.
Thank you. It's actually the part I was like kind of stressing about because it
Okay.
doesn't seem to be fitting everything else, but maybe it's because of the scar.
Yeah.
I haven't put the scar in yet.
And later, maybe you can add like a little bit of reflection, not reflection, what's called, just a little bit of highlight. There's a sort of cooler highlight on the corner of the lip. But so far, even without it, it looks pretty nice because it gives it this sort of velvety, lipstick.
Oh yeah. This little thing here.
Yeah, that can be for later, if you,
I'll leave it there for now.
yeah. I don't want to rush you through, your
No,
process.
that's all good. It's weird for me because the jaw is the part that usually comes in last.
Mm.
And it kind of puts everything together.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. You can tell that you've done already a few portraits because you're starting to develop this sort of aesthetic. Like you have a slight a way of doing it your own a little bit. It's not it's close to the original, but there's a little Husky twist to it already.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. The Husky twist. It's not intentional, but it's there. That's kind of how it goes for everyone, I think.
Mm.
That's how people get their styles and whatever. Scar actually really helps to pronounce the form in the face. I just noticed I probably should have It would have been wise to sort of give that a second look early on in the piece, I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and not go way too dark with this, but it's interesting because it's so dominant, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that bruise on top of it, like this sort of bruising on the cheek.
Yeah, it's very pinkish and fresh up here, like it's been opened up again or messed with in some way.
And I'm trying to find a sort of warmer color for the cheek that's turning away, but it's so weird, so hard to find. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I don't think I told you guys. My fiance and I, we were invited to apply for Canadian immigration. Finally,
congrats!
Yeah, we got our like the go ahead to finish the application. So.
Oh man, dude, you've been waiting for so long for that. I'm super happy.
Thanks.
That's really good news, man.
Yeah.
Finally.
It's finally we can start preparing. I mean, because we just gotta finish the application, but it's all there. Like it just took us a month to gather all the documents beforehand. Because before that, because now that we were invited to apply, we have 2 months to submit all the documents. But you can't just do it. We couldn't just start now gathering all the documents. You're supposed to have like pretty much get everything beforehand, so you don't stress out and. And I'm still waiting for like some reference letters from past employers and stuff. Like people I haven't talked in years, people who don't really like me anymore. Like I wrote my former boss, like, "Hey Scan, I know we haven't spoken for years. Hey Scan, how are you? I know we haven't spoken for years, and I know your time is really precious, but I'm applying for Canadian immigration. I need a reference letter from the company saying I've been this and that for like that date to that date." "Oh, hey Arthur. Yeah, my partner isn't here today. I'll get back to you on Monday." It's like, okay. All right.
Yes, you're just like, okay,
right.
we're playing the waiting game now.
Yes. I don't blame him. It's been ages. And like I was working for them on Hearthstone. Like they were the ones with the contract. And one day I just contacted Hearthstone and say, "Hey, I'm working. Would there be a way to work directly with you guys?" And it's like, "Sure, just notify these guys, and we'll rectify the whole thing, just so just so you don't work for us and them at the same time." And in the meantime, because I hadn't told them, I hadn't told my by the way, because I had worked at that studio in-house for a while, for 2 years, and then I left, but kept working remotely. They would just send me some extra work here and there, and Hearthstone was one of them. So I was working like as a sort of extra, as a sort of a freelance artist for them, and finally I tried to make the move. The Hearthstone guys notified my studio. And so I got the really nasty call, like, hey Arthur, what the fuck is this? Like, you're trying to take this shit from under us. And at first I felt very guilty because I just thought, you know, yeah, well, you know, I'm just, of course I want it. But I was testing the water first with the Hearthstone guys just to see. This way, if there was no way, I could at least know, you know, no one needed to know, you know. But they went right away and notified the guys just to rectify that. And so now I just had to explain, yeah, dude, no, sorry, I just, you know, I just thought, you know, like, yeah, because, whatever, like, and so, because, wait, what did I say? So I'm painting at the same time.
They notified the guys immediately.
Yeah, like I went through like, basically I contacted, the thing I did is I contacted a bunch of artists that I knew work on Hearthstone, like you just Google the guys, right? And hey, and telling them, hey, I've been working like through another company for Hearthstone, but I'd like to be direct. Could you guys hook me up with the art director? And some of them did, yeah, sure. Like, well, you know, they just forwarded my email with my examples of my pictures, you know, what I did. And finally they say, sure, but just notify your art director. So I went to the guy and say, to my former art director, say, hey, I got this opportunity, this chance to work directly with Hearthstone. You know, so I think I'm going to take it. Is that okay with you? And he went, my former boss went to the Hearthstone guy and said, hey, what the fuck is this? You guys give him an opportunity or something? And the Hearthstone guy said, no, he just asked, you know, that's all. And so then he was super mad at me. It's like, dude, how could you ask, you know, blah, blah, how could you do this to us? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of shitty. I mean, I shouldn't have, you know, I should have played better. And then I realized it's fine. Like, especially once the price came in, like once I started working with them directly, I realized they were taking more than half of the pay. And on top, which is, you know, it's whatever, you know. And on top of that, like, they were still working for us. I didn't, you know, I just stole myself from them, but they're still working on Hearthstone. Like, it's not like I took the bread from their mouth, you know. And but yeah, that was the last time I spoke to these guys. So, and yesterday I had to say, hey guys.
That's kind of shady though. Them taking half the pay from you. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Of course, they never said, you know, they never were clear. They didn't have to be, of course, but it was too much. I mean, especially as a beginner artist, I was, you know, it was like $600 per card, which is not bad. You know, when you were starting, it's great, and plus it's a great project. But they're already taking like half of it. Like, I would only see, you know, 300 of it while I was working with them, with the studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Plus, actually, it's probably more because they were probably taking more because as a beginner artist on the project, I would just start at 600, but these guys had been working through their studio, you know, for a while, so they're probably at the higher, you know, probably 1,000, 1,002 maybe. So I was really getting nothing. I mean,
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's to be fair though, I mean, they just gave me the job. It's not like I had to apply for Hearthstone, which would have been a whole other thing.
Yeah, that would have been way more difficult as well. Yeah.
So all in all, it's like, you know, it's it just, you know, it just kind of, I guess it just happens. But yeah, don't regret making the move. At some point, you just gotta do the fucking, you know, just you gotta rip the cord.
You gotta just take a chance. Rise up, yeah.
And in the end, because my you know, the guy from that Thai studio was like, dude, you're a fucking backstabber, and that doesn't come from me, meaning that comes from the Hearthstone guys, you know, whatever. I was like, ah, damn, I really screwed up. So I read the email, like I read back to the guy, like the Hearthstone guy said, yeah, I tried to talk to them, like, you know, because he asked me to do that. I went back to them, but they're like super pissed. I realized I went at it the wrong way, so because I believed it. I thought, yeah, I guess this is. I went at it the wrong way. And so like, yeah, you know, thanks, you know, I just admitted the mistake pretty much and called it, for what it is, and just never talked to the guys again, I guess. And the guy just replied to me. It's like, no, it's okay. We just wanted you to notify them. We don't really care. Like, implying they don't really care.
Yeah.
So that whole backstabber stuff was not real. It was not actually spoken. And I just started working right away. Like, no problem. The guy was just trying to pull one, like a last one on me, just to see if I would just guilt myself out of the deal.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's
kind of a strange sort of thing to do to keep somebody where they are.
Yeah.
Because and it's completely fair what you did, wanting to work directly with Blizzard instead of or Hearthstone instead of them, right?
Yeah, and it's not like I didn't take the gig away from them. They still kept the gig and had as much work as they just didn't have me anymore, like, to work with.
Yeah.
So in all, I feel I was a bit naive at the time. I just didn't understand how like some people can be super ruthless. That they just to that guy that's nothing. Treat people like that. So, and now I have to beg for a reference letter. Years later.
Years later.
Shit.
I guess it's all forgotten now. They're just like, yeah, whatever.
I hope so. Yeah. If
Probably
not,
just gonna give it to you so they don't have to deal with you again.
I hope so, man.
Because I've had that kind of stuff too, where I've had, I had this job where the guys working it they weren't respectful at all. It's without having proper training and stuff, it was just like insinuating stuff like, oh, you don't know this, blah blah blah, you should know this, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff,
Wow. Like what job was it, by the way?
It was the construction job.
Oh, the road laying, the asphalt laying.
Yeah.
Stuff. Okay.
So pavement stuff, yeah. And it was like crazy shit that nobody would have thought to do just on their own. And without having proper training and stuff, it's kind of hard to just assume.
Of course,
that's what you're supposed to do. So, yeah, that was kind of strange. And then, just screaming and yelling and not telling me what I did wrong, for example.
Oh, that's the worst, man. Come on.
So I'm just like, okay. If you're just screaming and yelling, I won't exactly learn anything from it, But so when I told them I was resigning, they were like, yeah, blah blah blah, we're sorry, but we want you to work here until the end of the month. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I kind of just left.
You can have it both ways, guys.
Yeah,
you can
mess
with
yeah,
until I quit,
it won't happen, blah blah blah. I'm just like, yeah, no thanks, I'm good.
Yeah.
But some people who's been doing something for 20 plus years, they think of it as natural, so
yeah,
it's kind of like some people are just they're in their routine and they know what's up, so they expect everybody to be on the same page.
Yeah,
kind of.
We were talking about it with Tiia last time, because we were talking about the worst jobs we've done, or some stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of that stuff is because I think there's I don't know for asphalt or anything, for road building and stuff like that, but some construction jobs are not you don't need to enter, you don't need to be qualified when you enter. You just need years of experience to sort of figure it all out, right? You just end up specializing in it. And so there's a sort of a since you can be straight out of middle school or high school and just get into that stuff, you like some people develop a sort of complex of inferiority and feel like when some kid on summer break from university comes and try this job just to make a bit of money on the side, like the kid might not have any attitude or anything, but it just strikes the guy on the wrong way. The dude who's been doing this forever, and he wants to.
They're like, yeah, this is a real job, blah blah blah. Yeah, you can't just come in here. Yeah, exactly. That might have been it for sure.
Promising bushy-tailed husky, just coming in, just wanting to, sling some asphalt a little bit, sling some pavement, work the guns, make some dough, and go back with the sunset,
Yeah, dude. And these guys just like, yeah, dude, this is our job, blah blah blah. Stupid immigrants.
Oh yeah. Wait, they're immigrants, or they were talking about stupid immigrants?
No. But like people, and I'm not trying to rub anyone the wrong way, but like there is I'd say there is a good correspondence in terms of that kind of stuff.
Sorry, you just cut out that correspondence or something. There's a good
between people who are kind of close-minded about that kind of whole thing.
Yeah.
In general. And let's just say it was evident.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the guy who was an asshole to you might also be an asshole to immigrants.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. It's pretty hard so far what you're doing. Like there's because you're keeping it. You're trying to figure out the complexion and the values and everything, but at the same time, like the character on the right, her features are very beautiful, but there's so many little nicks, and of course the giant gash, and a bunch of like stuff on her nose, and like bruises and stains like everywhere. That it's just hard to feel like you're getting. Like you're getting closer, of course, but it takes a lot of works on different levels.
Yeah, it's not very straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. It's
a little. There's a bit of back and forth to it.
Mm.
And there's a lot of stuff you don't like. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of stuff that I didn't notice when I first started it that I'm kind of noticing now, which kind of makes me have to change stuff.
Yeah, it's that will happen.
As I'm changing the values too, I also see like other areas that needs to change.
And those diagonals are super tricky. Because as you go along with the piece, you realize, oh yeah, I had this totally wrong.
For sure, for sure. There's probably a bunch of stuff I'm not even noticing yet, which is super obvious. but it's just because I'm trying to balance everything at the same time, you know?
Mm.
Then again, there's a whole point of being super accurate and kind of taking the essence of it. I think I'm starting to get somewhat close to it. The colors aren't perfect, but I feel like I'm kind of getting the shapes a little bit.
Yeah.
It looks human.
Oh, I mean, of course. It's interesting. It's interesting because for now, it looks like a like the video game version of that character. Like if it would be taken into a different style, like not quite Pixar style, but a sort of more animated or stylized version of that character.
I'll take that as a compliment for sure.
Yeah. Because like when they do, like with this, they release this sort of game, like this game based on an IP that already exists with actors and stuff like Game of Thrones and something. Then you get this sort of slightly simplified, like slightly sort of summed up. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Like her features in general, they're a bit more graceful on your piece. She seems more delicate. Like it's in the expression of the eye. Like this sort of I don't know if it's the shading or exactly how it turned out, but the relationship between the eyebrow and her eyes, especially the lower pupil, like she's got a much more vulnerable or sort of fragile, graceful look to it on your piece. I mean, not much more, slightly, I guess.
I think it's the contrast that's doing it. That's making it look more, because hers is very like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
And I can't have that dark that she has in here, I can't find a way to make that yet. I'm trying to. And creating this color was very hard.
Yeah, I bet.
The eye. With the palette that we're using. It's basically not there.
It is not, yeah. Yeah. You gotta settle for some sort of gray, some sort of bluish. Yeah.
That's kind of what I tried. I used this to get there and then added in some dark to try and match it. But like, here. This is the color, right? So I tried matching some darks in to try and get it more saturated somehow.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work. I'm trying to go in here, but all I'm doing is moving up and down here. So I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to take what you can, I guess.
Yeah. The same on mine. Like I just cannot even come close to that turquoise thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going for just the blue. I'm wondering, let me try. I'll just select the whole thing, like the whole area, and turn it. Oh, it looks horrible. Oh, it looks disgusting.
It has a completely different mood,
Yeah.
Thing. It just, because I think that's kind of what balances this image too. The blue eyes, right? They're very striking in all of this red and purple that's in here.
Yeah.
This like strong blue.
Yeah.
Really brings out everything, Oh. Yeah, it feels more alive all of a sudden. I'm gonna erase all of this. There we go. I'm not gonna cheat.
Don't you? How's it going, Daniel?
It's going good. Doing a paint over. Much better. Like I sent in some sketches to the client, and I just hated them, like all of them. So I'm just redoing it because I'm not like I'm like I just don't think it's up there in quality like what I presented last. So
Okay.
it's gonna be my weekend activity. I think.
I actually got approached with a new commission recently.
Oh, sweet.
Somebody wants me to do a 3D model.
Okay.
And they want me to do a
You kind of cut off right there.
He's still up. Huskey.
Did I cut out for a sec?
Yep.
Yeah, so the other side, so like the one side is kind of balloony and everything is connected, kind of like a very stylized sort of looking brain, right? And the other side of it is this very like metallic-y looking thing, like sort of where like the mass of the brain is not there, but the outlines are kind of like rigid edges. That's kind of like the best way I can describe it, I think. And it just looks very complex to do. So I was like, yeah, I don't exactly have something in mind for how I could do that, but like I'm willing to give it a shot. So I'm just waiting on their response for that, because it's like in 3D it has to be connected to each other, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I have no idea how to do that. It's going to take me some time to sort of figure it out. That's the tricky thing, though, because you can't exactly, like, you can, of course, say no, but, like, you kind of want to make it work.
It's a challenge. I'll give another 15 minutes to mine. And I have to go.
Sure.
This time flies, man. We started an hour and 45 minutes ago.
It does fly when you get into something like this.
Yeah.
You kind of just lose all thought, and then it's hard to sort of break out from that zone.
Yeah. Interesting point though is that when you give yourself like, well, in my case 15 minutes left, suddenly like you say, okay, what can I sum up in 15 minutes? Like what can I if there was one thing I had to like solve right now, what would it have to be?
Yeah. What would be the quickest thing that I could fix to make this look as best as possible?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually got the exact same thing when you said that. I was like, okay, so what can I do here now?
Yeah.
As like a final presentation kind of thing.
And what's like the one thing you know you have to fix, like the one pressing thing, not necessarily the most easiest you can access, but address, but the one thing is like, okay, no, this is way too wrong. Like, if I have 15 minutes left, it's 15 minutes I have to spend at least trying to deal with that. That's what
So what would be like the biggest issue that I need to solve?
Right, the sort of thing you were putting it for last, you know, like the.
It's definitely the eye that I'm working on right now, that I was kind of putting for last.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, I think everything kind of looks okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple small things that kind of could look better. Like doing the scar, fixing the headband and that kind of stuff, you know, it kind of just
yeah. I think the scarf
didn't get prioritized, you know.
Sure, yeah. The scarf is okay because it's kind of a soft shape that's not really, you know, meant to be. But for the headband, I think without going too light, I think now you're going a bit too light, but it's okay. Like just fixing the shape before you go into detail, like making the top curve a bit more aligned with the bottom one.
Yeah. I don't know why I have all this red in the hair. I just noticed.
Those are remnants from your like your early colors. I think.
Yeah.
Those big round brush strokes. Oh, by the way, Daniel, you were. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was just, you were. You said you were. I mean, before in the chat, you said you were. You had been doing a bunch of these memory studies.
Yeah.
The stuff we did on the last episode. So, how did it go?
It's going good. Like every day, I'm like, it's like actually like a very quick improvement progress. I'm surprised. Like
Yeah.
you, like day per day, you just begin internalizing more and more of the things, and it's like it gets easier and easier to remember things, and you also your ability to deduct
Yeah.
what the exercise tells you about your current flaws also increases. Uh, so like you can really tell clearly like what aspects of a painting or a study you have trouble with picking up, right? Like what you're missing. And I think this is really a thing people should do more, because people usually they pick a ref and they do a study out of it. And what you're really getting by the end of that is a measurement of how well you're able to observe something, recreate it. But you're not getting a measurement of how much of that you're able to internalize in your long-term memory, which is actually what you're going to be using when you're doing, you know, work for a client or portfolio work. Like that's the most useful part.
Yeah.
And you're not getting that measurement. So making the study from imagination afterwards brings you that measurement and allows you to kind of like get automated feedback just from yourself through that workflow.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it's like what I do is I plan ahead the studies I'm gonna make. So I have like a month in advance planned. I'll pick pictures that I enjoy and I think they're cool. There's something unique about them. Put them in my folder with the date, and that's the date that I'm gonna study it. So every morning when I wake up, I actually don't know what I'm gonna be studying, which is also interesting.
That's pretty cool.
But right now I have like a whole month of studying World War I photography.
Okay.
And I just wrapped up like half a month of studying photos from Thailand. it's gonna be fun to change the subject for a while.
Yeah. All right.
I'm also, yeah, we were talking about deliberate practice, and I'm trying to, yeah, like figure out how to put, like, if you're drawing like a car or an airplane or a person or anything, like, how do you deconstruct that down to the most simple elements? Because when it's more simple, when there's less information to remember, it's easier to actually put it into your long-term memory, and not just the short term, which you just throw out afterwards, but to actually remember it for the rest of your life. So you simplify it, and I'm trying to figure out specifically how that can happen and what the process looks like for doing that. And that's also like that's something I do every single day too, and progressively improving every day. Just every day I wake up and I do it, and I'm like kind of like, wow, like this is amazing, like how much
Yeah.
and how quickly your brain adapts to new ways of thinking. Super cool.
Yeah.
I'm like super deep into this right now, and I'm trying not to like spout, but I feel like every time
No.
someone's asking me about anything like this, I'm just like rambling because there's so much shit going on in my head right now.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. It's cool to have somebody who's really into it. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty inspiring too.
Yeah.
Because even for example, if sorry.
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, because like even like I suggested this thing, right? This type of exercise, the memory thing, but I didn't even do that many of them. You probably already did more than I did. So I'm like, geez, okay, maybe I should pick it up again. It's really cool.
I don't know. Like, I feel like there's a power in everyday habits. That you just do them. I was telling Huskey yesterday, like it's like brushing your teeth. Like you just go do it. You don't think about it, and that's what I'm aiming for to develop a method that is like straightforward. It applies to most things, and you can just sit down and brush your teeth every day. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like the stuff you guys doing. It's looking good.
Thanks. Now I'm trying to deepen a little bit the colors, not to have them too, you know, too flat. Try to find the range, you know, a little bit as much as possible.
All things aside, I'm actually pretty happy about the way I approached this.
Yeah. Well, one thing you can try to solve, the only thing that looks off to me right now is the sort of yellow on the top and bottom of the headband. I would really treat the whole thing as a whole, like color it evenly all across, and then just add some sort of central highlight in the middle. But this sort of yellow that goes like all around.
Oh, you mean really... do the whole thing like that, or?
Yeah, like like whatever solution you find for the center, you know, just having a sort of highlight in the middle, just sort of.
Oh, right. I see what you mean.
And sort of cover up the. Yeah. 5 minutes left. Can I solve? I see you're trying to sort of adjust the whole proportions a little bit. That's nice. That's
Yeah, that's the quickest way for me to do it, I think.
Yeah. No BS.
Yeah, it just makes it so I don't have to worry about the whole values and everything, you know. It's got this weird shape here. It's kind of like that. I can blend out this whole thing, I guess, but it's like almost the same color as the hair, so I need to
Sure.
like add the ambient occlusion thing.
Right. The interesting part is like if you don't show the reference image, people don't know that it's supposed to be ornate with a bunch of silver carvings in it and stuff. So it won't be like it's not a miss. It's just if it looks coherent and finished in itself, it just works. The picture works.
Oh yeah, for sure. I wasn't really looking at the reference way too much right here now. Just trying to fix so that it looks in like with itself, kind of, I think it looks okay.
Yeah. More than okay. It's got a nice symmetry. The eye line and the lips are aligned, which is cool. Like a lot of beginner mistake implies, when the eyes are one eye is too up or too low. Like when the features are not really, aligned. But you nailed that, man.
I'll be right back. 30 seconds.
Okay.
Right towards the end. Whoa. Valuable seconds, man. You can't miss those. It's all good. But yeah, definitely like I had no idea where to go at this when I first started, but it feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like I've gotten sort of like the bigger things from this one.
Yeah.
Now it's just like most of it is polishing and fixing small mistakes.
One thing you're gonna have to do at some point is find a brush to help you sum up the hair.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because I've seen in like a bunch of your studies is that the hair is usually a bit is left kind of to deal with in the end, I guess.
It's something I haven't really focused on because it's to my experience, it's just been a time sink,
Yeah. Yeah.
And having like the bigger forms and stuff down has kind of been more of my goal.
Sure.
But it's definitely something I've been looking at recently, actually, now that you mention it. Fixing the hair, because it's so much in a portrait, the hair.
Yeah.
It holds so much value. or
Like-
importance,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Like one thing you can work in like three, like focus on three things in the hair, like the general silhouette, like
Mhm.
just see where it extends, of course, because if you don't, it just kind of looks fuzzy and sort of cloudy, right?
Yeah.
Then within this big shape, see like the main sort of divisions of the hair. So we can see, there's
Mhm.
just a couple of waves, under the, like just over the ear, with a pretty strong demarcation. And then it's just highlights, just a few sharper highlights here and there to sort of attract the eye to want special things. Because
Yeah. Sort of like I've got going on here at the
Yeah.
top part here now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not much more than that, to be honest, I guess. It's just everything else needs to be kind of grounded. But it's like adding all these parts and like this, I don't know. I feel like I make, because with hair it's less is more, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I maybe make too many. I just need to split them up and have them be more interesting. But they also need to make sense, right?
Yeah, and to make sense, like because they you see there's a sort of gradient to hair, right? Because they all sort of flow, their rigidity, like they're rigid and sort of clump together. So when they flow, they sort of flow with each other, like they sort of push against each other and go into these sort of waves and curls. So you cannot be too erratic with your highlights, otherwise it looks like hair is too messy.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
It was a good stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys want to keep it
Been a
up?
long
or-
one. No, I think we're good here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for the stream. I know I wasn't too active. I'll try to be more active next one. But it was
Sure.
very interesting.
No
Just
problem.
listening in.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Next time. Yeah. Let's see what we do.
What do you guys think about this time next Friday? Or like, do you have any ideas around that?
The time.
It's perfect.
Sure. Me too.
Scheduling.
I'll try to be a little earlier, just to accommodate, Cisadora. I don't know if it's a recurrent thing for her, but But for me, it was definitely a one-off. Like I just had this one thing to do. Like it happened yesterday, so we had to go today.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the podcast.
Sure. All right.
And to our tens of thousands of listeners, I hope you have a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. All right, everybody. Take it easy.
See ya.
See ya.